Welcome into Factfinder Investigates. I'm Dylan Domingue. An altercation between two elected officials from Kansas caught on camera. Profanity, even a racial slur is used as other local leaders rush to break it up. Factfinder investigator Jalea Daughtry spoke to both men involved and explains the issue that led up to it.
You don't know what you're talking about.
An altercation between House Representative Ford Carr and Wichita City Councilman Brandon Johnson quickly turned physical Wednesday night when another lawmaker, caught in the middle, was injured.
People over there.
Ford and Carr are currently at odds about funding for testing at 29th and Grove contamination site. Their difference of opinion were exposed at a reception in Topeka.
Am I sorry that that took place? No, I'm not regretful about that whatsoever. The only thing that I am regretful of is that that my colleague was involved in this in a physical sense.
Profanity, as well as racial slurs were used.
In a room full of people, y'all were using profanity as well as the N-word. What you're saying is that that was appropriate for that time and matter. Is that what you're saying?
I'm going to say that I'm going to approach every situation on its own merit. Had that language not been used against me, I would not have came back with that language.
Councilman Johnson released this statement Thursday morning saying that he didn't want to talk about the incident and that he didn't want it to, quote, distract from the genuine positive efforts and progress we're making for residents to address the vitally needed testing and remediation at the 29th and Grove neighborhoods. And Representative Carr says,
if I'm met with aggression, I'll respond with an equal amount of aggression.
Jalea Daughtry, 12 News.
And both Topeka Police and the Kansas Highway Patrol did respond to that incident. No one was arrested and no one is pressing charges. A new scam is popping up on social media claiming to be from different casinos around the state. The scam is made to look like an ad saying that casinos such as the Kansas Star or WinStar are officially online. The fake ad says if you click on their website or download their app, you'll receive a welcome bonus of up to $1,500. One viewer who alerted us to this scam says how to know it's a fake is that the website listed on the ad is not the actual website for the casino.
There are always new ones for new casinos. The Kansas Star, the WinStar, the Crosswinds. It doesn't matter what casino it is. You click on it and deposit your money, become a winner. Well, you'll become a loser.
And if you do see an ad like this on your social media feed and aren't sure if it's a scam or not, you can call the casino and ask if the ad is a fake. Well, this week, Wichita police warning of an increase in fake $100 bills being used at local businesses. The bills are similar to normal $100 bills, but they differ slightly. So instead of the United States of America being printed on the front, the fake bill will have for motion picture purposes or movie money printed. Police say if your business receives a fake bill, report the incident to WPD immediately. And there's also a new toll scam to be on alert for. The fake text message looks a little like this, asking you to pay your fast track lane tolls by a certain date. The message also gives a fake link to a website to click on and pay in order to avoid a fine and keep your license. Now, fast track is the toll payment option in California, but drivers in Kansas have shared them getting the same scam message. This is a fake. You're advised to not click on the link and not respond to the text. With the Kansas City Chiefs having played today in college basketball in the middle of their conference schedule, many of you may be looking to buy or sell tickets to the games on Facebook groups. But we want to warn you of a potential scammer on these ticket exchange pages because if you're not careful, you could end up with less money in your pocket and still without tickets to the game.
If it's too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true.
Sheila Lazarus is a lifelong Chiefs fan and was hoping to bring her husband to a game for the first time. She made a post on a Kansas City Ticket Exchange Facebook page asking if anyone was selling tickets. And it wasn't long after that she had offers.
Got a couple response. People sent private messages and so forth. I went through them, and then I saw somebody that was like, you know what? These seats are perfect.
The offer would have saved her hundreds of dollars compared to if she had purchased them from other websites. She privately messaged the seller from the Facebook group who said they would bring in an admin to confirm and release the tickets. Sheila was told she'd have to first send money through Zelle for the tickets and include a tip for the admin.
I even put on there, I go, listen, I don't want to get scammed. I don't want to get scammed. And the guy's like very reassuring, like, trust me, I've done a lot of this.
Even with her guard up, Sheila paid over $1,000 through Zelle. After time passed and still no tickets, she asked if she had been scammed, and then the conversation cut off.
Beyond devastated, the sense of betrayal and disbelief literally has been overwhelming.
The admins are accepting any type of payment. Walk away. It's not worth the risk there.
Catherine Baskett runs a ticket exchange page. She says the admins should only be acting as a middleman, and it's a red flag if they're asking for a tip.
Games like this, they're walking away $2,000-$3,000 just for a game because of the amount of transfers. It's quantity over quality.
Baskett says be cautious if you're buying tickets from a public Facebook page or if the ticket group has thousands of members, as it could be difficult to vet everyone in there.
Go through those steps. Take your time. There's no rush.
For Sheila, it's a lesson learned, and looking for tickets off of Facebook is something she doesn't plan to do again.
Just took it as a life lesson. We never went to the game.
And Sheila said she did call her bank right after, but was told she wouldn't be able to get her money back. She advises using a credit card because that transaction can be disputed. Now, if you're still looking for tickets on those exchange pages, be sure to vet the profiles that you're talking to. If the page was recently created or if the names don't match the names on the profile, that could be the signs of a fake account. And at any point, if you feel pressured to make a payment, you can always block those accounts.
They do not check and balance themselves, so someone else has to.
State associations are there to protect the academic growth of a student.
Coming up, a look inside the nation's high school athletic associations. We investigate the power they wield and the decisions that can end young careers as calls grow for more transparency.